guys, Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the Nike Mercurial Victory 5 in the indoor and turf variations. Now inside the box, all you get are the shoes themselves. They do not come with any extras. You can see this is the indoor version that I have right here. So I'll get this box out of the way and we'll take a look at the indoor Mercurial Victory 5 as well as the turf Victory 5. Now the Victory has a retail price of $80 US in both variations, so there's no price difference between the two whatsoever. But this is one of the very, very popular lower end models from Nike, not only for indoor and turf, but also in terms of outdoor shoes because they're available in firm ground, soft ground, as well as AG variations. Now, with the indoor and turf market being a lot lower cost in comparison to firm ground shoes, which can go all the way up to $300 or so, while these are inexpensive with an $80 retail price, there are plenty of options in the same price range, some a little bit more, some a little bit less. And we're going to be talking about what you get for your $80 US with the Victory 5 indoor and turf, and what is going to be the best option for you depending on your preferences, and of course what you're looking for from your indoor shoes or your turf shoes depending on the situation. I've had some time to wear both of these, and in today's video I'm going to share all of my opinions on the overall performance and give you a really good idea as to whether or not this should be your next option as an indoor model or a turf model. So with that being said, let's get right into the video. To start things off, I want to talk about the traction on offer from the indoor and turf variations of the Victory 5. Now starting off with the indoor model, obviously it's a completely flat bottom that is designed to be used predominantly on smooth, flat, hard indoor court playing surfaces such as hardwood floors or even tile floors. We're going to get into using these on concrete in just a second. Now the pattern, as you can see, is pretty much all solid rubber. You have very minimal flex grooves across the entire sole. The area here that's electric green is a very, very stiff, dense rubber with minimal pliability to it, which leads to really good durability, but not necessarily the best traction, although I don't really have too many complaints on the overall traction that you get from this shoe. And you can see in the Volt yellow areas, you have kind of a targeted traction pattern where it follows that same kind of circle type design they have going on, but it's a little bit thinner and there's more cutouts, so for that reason it's more pliable and you're going to get better traction overall, but not as great durability as the more solid areas of the sole. So you kind of have a good combination of performance and durability characteristics. Again, on a clean indoor court playing surface, I had no issues whatsoever. If the court's dusty, you're going to slip no matter what indoor shoes you have on, just from my experiences. And overall, I have to say it's nothing spectacular, but it certainly isn't below average either. It's kind of right on par with the majority of indoor soccer shoes in terms of traction, grip, and just overall performance in that area of the shoe. As far as wearing these outdoors on concrete or any kind of other abrasive outdoor flat playing surface, you're going to get really good traction. Just know that the durability won't be quite as good if you're using these on concrete as it would be on a smooth indoor court playing surface. That's not just necessarily something that is an issue with this shoe. That's something you're going to run into with any type of indoor shoe. But overall, you get a decent thickness of rubber. As you can see, you have the nylon stitching going around the toe. So should you choose to use these on concrete or any kind of outdoor playing surface, the durability and performance you're going to get out of this shoe is actually going to be pretty good. So if you're looking for a street soccer shoe, this definitely will get the job done in terms of performance as well as durability, if you ask me. At least that's what I've found from testing them out. As far as the turf variation is concerned, this is really less versatile in terms of what playing surfaces you can use it on. Now this is designed for use on artificial grass or turf, more specifically the type of turf where it's kind of what we used to have, where it's like a hard, rough carpet type of material. Generally, there's sand underneath it or some kind of padding. But this can also be used on the more modern variation of artificial grass, where it actually looks like plastic blades of grass with rubber pellets. You're going to get good performance on both of those two playing surfaces. Now, you're probably going to ask the question, why does Nike still make a turf model as well as an AG variation if they're both designed to be used on the same type of playing surface? And I don't really have an answer to that question, but what I can tell you is that there definitely are performance differences between the two, where I think some people are going to prefer this one, whereas other people are going to prefer an AG AG stud pattern. The major difference is that the AG stud pattern is generally going to be a little bit more aggressive in terms of the amount of grip that it provides, whereas something like this is going to keep you a little bit lower to the ground. It's still going to provide adequate grip, but it just isn't going to be quite as aggressive, and because it's not as aggressive, you're going to have a more stable sensation, better maneuverability, just because it's more flat outsole overall. Now, as far as the base is concerned, it's a hard rubber material, a little bit harder than what you're going to find on the indoor variation, so for that reason, it's going to be more durable and better able to withstand heat if you are playing outdoors on an artificial grass playing surface. If you've played on one of those in the summertime, you know it can get really, really hot. And then you have two, again, varied types of patterns across the bottom. You have this very aggressive tread here. It almost looks like little teeth going across the medial side of the forefoot and then the very back of the heel. These are there to push off when you're accelerating forward, even from side to side. And again, it provides some really, really good grip. They got some decent length to them. And then in this targeted area where it's kind of a volt yellow color, you have these little hexagon nubs that again are relatively long, provide decent traction while still maintaining good stability for the turf shoe, which is obviously expected from this type of a model. Now, because of the very aggressive turf stud pattern that we have here, where it's actually relatively long and the rubber is quite hard for the sake of durability, this is something that I wouldn't necessarily want to use as an indoor shoe. I know a lot of people try to buy turf shoes if you're playing on turf and indoor courts and try to get away with using a pair of turf shoes for both playing surfaces. This is not one of those shoes I would recommend doing that with, just because it's a relatively aggressive turf outsole, and again, the amount of grip you're going to get on a smooth flat playing surface is going to be subpar, to say the least. It's just not really safe. And like I said, it's just not going to perform the part just because it's not designed for that type of playing surface. They really kind of tried to differentiate the two pretty significantly. I think they've done that pretty successfully here. What I can say that you could use this for, if you really wanted to, is if you play on extremely hard ground where there's very little grass, perhaps it's just really dry, hard dirt or something like this, where studs seem to be a little bit too long. Something like a turf shoe is going to provide that little bit of extra traction that you wouldn't normally have if you were wearing something flat, but really good stability as well. So something like this, definitely very suitable for extremely hard ground situations, or of course any type of artificial playing surface. But overall, that is the major difference between the two. One is not better than the other. It really just depends on your situation and how you're going to be using them. As far as what the upper has to offer, it's pretty much exactly the same as what you're going to find from the firm ground, soft ground, or AG variation of the Victory 5, so there's no differences there. But it's tough for me to recommend something like the Victory 5 just because, especially in this type of a category where you have lots of indoor shoes and lots of turf models within the same price range, it's difficult for me to recommend a synthetic like this, even though as far as low-end synthetics go, this is definitely some of the nicer synthetic you're going to find from an $80 shoe. Now, it's called Trophy Synthetic, and you can see it's relatively thin. It's surprisingly soft and flexible for a lower-end synthetic, and it's even backed by an internal support cage like you're going to find on all the higher-end Mercurials that obviously aren't available in indoor or turf variations. You also have that same micro-texturing on the surface like you're going to find on the Veloce 2 as well as the Vapor 10. So in terms of touch on the ball, it has something to offer. If you're looking for that Mercurial feel, that Mercurial vibe, this is definitely going to deliver that for you. With that being said, especially if you're in the $80 price range, another shoe that comes to mind if you're looking for something that has a thin barefoot feel is something like the Nike Elastico Pro 2. It also retails for $80, and if you ask me personally, I prefer the quality, the thinness, and just the overall softness and comfort that the upper on that shoe has to offer in comparison to the Victory 5. There's not a major difference, but the subtle difference to me is noticeable, and like I said, I prefer that shoe over something like the Victory 5 mainly for that reason. But again, if you're looking for something that's going to offer more of a Mercurial feel, then this is definitely something to go with, especially if you're wearing Victories or any kind of Mercurial during the outdoor season and you want something very similar. The Victory 5 is definitely a solid option, like I said, if you're trying to keep more of a uniform feel during the off season or the indoor season, if you will. Now you have your central lacing system, as you guys can see, the same low cut Mercurial kind of design on the heel area. You do have an internal plastic heel counter on both variations. The heel liner is a smooth synthetic leather material with some decent padding there, so again, step-in comfort should not be an issue. The insole, it's fully removable on both versions. You can see that It is a mesh lining on top, and it's made from a relatively thick kind of ortholite material on the indoor model. And then on the turf variation, you're going to see that it is pretty much the same thing. So basically the reasoning for the thicker insole, the slightly different insole than what you're going to find on the firm ground AG or soft ground models, is just because there's really no midsole with this particular shoe. So in terms of cushioning, they're both very, very low profile, especially with the indoor variation. So if you like something with a lot of underfoot cushioning for hard indoor court, unforgiving playing surfaces, then something like this may be something to stay away from. You may want to look at the Nike Gato series, for example. It's just going to have more cushion under your foot. But if you're looking to be very close to the ground, have a very low profile responsive feel, then you're definitely going to get that type of sensation from the turf and indoor variations of the Victory 5. So that's pretty much it as far as the upper and all the tech specs are concerned. And move on next to a quick weigh-in so you can see how lightweight these guys are. As far as weight is concerned, both the indoor and turf variations of the Victory 5 are relatively lightweight, all things considered. Now I'm going to weigh both variations for you today in real time. We're going to start off with the indoor version of the Victory 5. Please keep in mind this is a brand new pair in a size 9 US. I'm going to throw it on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at 8.4 ounces. Now, as far as indoor shoes go, that is relatively lightweight, especially considering the amount of rubber you get on the bottom, so durability isn't much of a concern here. And again, if you're looking for that Mercurial vibe, something that's not going to weigh you down, and something that's even going to feel very similar in weight to that of the firm ground Victory 5, the indoor variation, like I said, has a lot to offer as far as how much it weighs. So we'll take that off the scale and we'll throw on the turf variation. Again, brand new condition, size 9 US. And you can see that these guys weigh in at a little bit more, 9.15 ounces. The reason for the extra weight is the harder and more significant amount of rubber on the outsole of the shoe, because it is, at the end of the day, designed for turf, and that is necessary in order for proper performance as well as adequate durability, which you do get from this particular model. And in comparison to other turf shoes out there, this is on the lighter side. So again, they're not going to weigh you down. If you're looking for that Mercurial vibe, you're going to get it from the turf or indoor variations. It really just depends on the playing surface that you're going to be using them on most frequently. Alright, here's a look at the indoor and turf variations of the Victory 5 on feet, and from right out of the box, they feel great. One question I know a lot of people will ask is there a fit difference between the turf and indoor versions? And the answer to that question is no, they fit and feel pretty much exactly the same on feet. As far as how they fit though, it does seem to be a little bit wider than the firm ground, soft ground, or AG variations of the Victory 5 from what I noticed. Not by a lot, but certainly just by a little. So for that reason, they will be suitable for most foot types. I mean, if you have really, really wide feet and generally have trouble fitting into synthetic shoes, you're still probably going to have an issue in the Victory 5. But I think, like I said, for most people, these should fit you quite comfortably. Just keep in mind that they won't stretch much at all, even after some wear time. So if they don't fit you right from right out of the box, it's probably best to stick to a different model altogether. As far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing my usual size 9 US here, and the fit and length is absolutely perfect. So whether you're looking to order the turf or indoor versions, going true to size is definitely recommended if you're looking for the best possible fit. Alright guys, well that's it for my review of the indoor and turf variations of the Nike Mercurial Victory 5. It's a shoe that honestly performs and feels better than I thought it would. The Victory 5, while it's a tough shoe for a firm ground model to recommend at the full retail of $80 US, I think in the indoor and turf variations, if you're really looking for that Mercurial vibe, the Victory 5 is one of your only options. In comparison to other indoor models, I feel like I mentioned, the Elastico Pro 2 is a really good option as well in the same price range. But as far as turf shoes go, you're really not going to find much that is similar to the Victory 5. So again, it's a shoe that I can recommend in both the indoor and turf variations, not only because they offer a certain type of feel that you can't get anywhere else, but also because the performance aspects that they have to offer, the way they fit, and definitely the durability of the shoes definitely do justify the $80 retail price if this is something that you're looking for. So yes, this is a shoe that I can recommend. Now I will not be following up with a full written review. This was the only review that I'm going to be doing on this particular product. So if you do have any further questions questions on this shoe at all, be sure to leave those down below in the comment section. With that being said, if you want to check out the review page on my website, which is linked down below in the description of this video, you'll find the high quality images of the shoe that'll give you a better idea as to how they actually do look in person, as well as buy it now links with the best prices online, including exclusive SR4U coupon codes, allowing you to pick these up below their $80 retail price in all of the available colorways. So again, whether you're interested in the indoor or turf variations, check out the review pages because like I said, you'll be able to pick them up for cheaper than you might expect. Other than that though, guys, if you found today's video helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. That would be greatly appreciated. It really does help the channel to grow. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all of my social media information down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.